Imposter syndrome can be crippling for new teachers. I've met a ton of new teachers that have loads of knowledge, tons of study and experience, but they let this syndrome get the better of them. And ultimately, they never get a chance to do what they really love for a living. So, what is it? Why do we experience it? And how can we eventually overcome it? First things first, it's not a syndrome. When you use the word syndrome, it suggests some sort of abnormality. This is like a clinical diagnosis. It is an experience, it is a phenomenon, but it's not a syndrome. There's nothing wrong with you. Imposter syndrome is that feeling you get when you think you're going to be exposed as a fraud. So despite all the experience you have, all the certificates, all the planning you've done, you expect someone to pull you up and say, you don't belong here. Your reality is completely subjective. It is existing in your head. So how you see yourself affects how other people treat you. When I did my 200 hour, I was the only guy in the class, in the training. I couldn't sit cross-legged on the floor. I wasn't very flexible. I was mispronouncing the Sanskrit, and I didn't have that soothing yoga voice. I spoke in a common way, you could say. So I felt completely out of place. These are all excuses that I was making up in my head because it's easier to not do something than to do it. It's much easier to remove yourself from a situation so you can avoid being criticized. So why does it happen? Well, we know ourselves from the inside, but we know everyone else from the outside, from what they choose to show or tell us, which is made much worse by social media. Therefore, we know all our doubts, all our anxieties, but all we see from the other people is the finished product. We don't see the process at all. And when we experience this, we feel like we are inferior, that we don't belong, and that ultimately we're going to get found out. How we overcome this is to take a leap of faith, to assume that every single person you know has the same flaws as you. This includes the geezer who has 20 years experience or the lady that has 20 million followers on Instagram. Assume that every single person you see, the people you idolize, the people that seem like they're way ahead of you, have the same doubts, the same insecurities that you do. The separation you feel from the people you idolize is an illusion. We're all the same. What separates them from you is they have felt these feelings, because that's all they are, and decided to persist through, to keep consistent and to show up and produce no matter how they're feeling. So it's a choice. You decide how you define yourself. Are you a shy person or are you experiencing shyness? And every time you stand up to speak in front of someone, recognize those feelings, doubt, anxiety, insecurity, and decide to persist through them. Because on the other side of those feelings is success and fulfillment. I wish you good luck.